Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Fact Sheet live on ETV, live on Nisim 95.9 in Bogatanga and 100.1 in Tamale, also live on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is ETV Ghana. You can follow the conversation there and let your thoughts be heard. As always, we encourage you, the ones watching the show, you can share it to various groups and platforms that you belong to so others may also join the conversation. You check today's date and you realize it's the 28th of June 2022. It's a day we had all been looking forward to, considering the kind of buzz that this particular event we are about discussing tonight on Fact Sheet had generated. It is the Arise Ghana demonstration which was to happen today, which did happen. Regardless of the back and forth about the decision as to which route to use, which route not to use, the police going to the courts to secure an injunction against the route these protesters wanted to use, and then the injunction which was also sought by the protesters as to the ruling from the High Court and the Appeal Court, also seeking a stay of execution on the decision of the High Court. The protest that happened today. Before the protest, both parties, that's the Ghana Police Service and the protesters, had assured Ghanaians it was going to be a peaceful demonstration. The Ghana Police Service had assured security for these protesters if they were going to comply with the regulations as to how to conduct a demonstration in the country. The demonstrators also had assured Ghanaians that this was going to be one of the most peaceful demonstrations we are going to witness in this country. But is that how things turn out at the end of the day? Seeing that we saw people who had been injured, we saw police firing tear gas into the crowd, we saw the protesters also throwing stones at the police. In the end, did the effect and the impact that these protesters sought to drum home get its impact? Remember, some of the basic reasons for which they went on the streets today has to do with the standard of living in the country. The high cost of petroleum products, the high cost of goods and services, and several other concerns they raised. Would this in any way water down the essence of them hitting the streets? That's the focus of our conversation tonight on Fact Sheet. I'll be glad if you stayed with me and allow for your thoughts to be heard live on the show. My name is Samuel Chen. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, I'll introduce you to my guests and then we set the ball rolling. Do kindly stay with us.
and his directors present at that meeting wanted us to stick to the court directions to the Independence Square. We said there was no way in hell that we are going to the Independence Square. We have an understanding with them which is not part of the court process for tomorrow. And the idea was that we're going to start from LWAC through the Ministry of Finance to Parliament. So we proposed to them that we prefer to combine tomorrow's own with today. So instead of going to the Flagstaff House, which is their worry, we'll go to the Finance Ministry. So we'll march to the J interchange and turn onto the Independence Avenue to the Ministry of Finance and terminate there.
Is there a demonstration coming on?
And on your screens was that of one of the leaders of the Arise Ghana demonstration, Prince Derek J, addressing the media after violence broke during that demonstration, which was supposed to be a peaceful one. And he saw excerpts of what was transpiring there at the grounds. Those who were throwing stones, those who were throwing, other materials they could find at the Ghana police, and the Ghana police as well, trying to disperse them with tear gas. In the end, both parties are showcasing the wounded on social media. Ghana police says 12 of their men have been wounded. The protesters also say a lot of their men have been wounded. We'll start the conversation with a statement released from the Ghana Police Service, and then I will introduce you to my guests tonight. So there's a statement from the Ghana Police Service, and this is what they say. The demonstration by the Arise Ghana group commenced with demonstrators gathering at the Obras spot around 8 a.m. Contrary to the court orders, the organizers insisted on using routes leading to the Jubilee House. All attempts to persuade them to comply with the court-approved rules did not yield the expected results. Unfortunately, and without any provocation, the demonstrators began pelting the police with stones. So far, 12 police officers who sustained various degrees of injuries and were treated in the police mobile hospitals have been transferred to the police hospital for further treatment. Some police vehicles have also been damaged. The demonstrators further regrouped and bent tires on the road around Circle. The fire from the burning tires has since been put out by the police. The police therefore had no option but to use tear gas and water cannons to subdue the rioting and restore order. The process is still ongoing. The road has partially been cleared, and we urge all road users to continue to bear with us and as we use alternative routes where possible, as we take steps to fully disperse the rioting demonstrators. We wish to assure the public that all those involved in the violent demonstration will be brought to face justice. Signed, Grace Ansa Akofi, who is Chief Superintendent of Police, Director, Public Affairs. And on that note, let me introduce you to my guests for tonight. I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Palgrave Boachidankwa, who is a government spokesperson on governance and security. Here in the studio with me, my colleague Ni Ankra also joins me in the studio to bring us first-hand report as to what he witnessed working with the demonstrators and seeing the police in action as well. We'll have a security expert join us via Zoom, Adib Sani, to share his thoughts with us as to how a demonstration which was supposed to be a peaceful one turned out the way it did. Pagwe, good evening. Ni, good evening.
Good evening to you, Sam. It's good to be here.
I hope you're doing well.
To your viewers. I am very well.
All right. So I'll quickly start with Ni to capture the mood for us per his activities with the demonstrators since morning 8 a.m. until now. Ni, what did you see?
So some of the protesters were there before 8 a.m. But in the morning, the information came out later that they will start at 12.
Okay.
So around 11, 12, they started massing up at the Obra spot.
Okay.
Around 1:30 there, I saw the police using their officers in full army, cording off a certain part of the road. Why? Because those going on the demonstration wants to use the ring road to the Jubilee House. But according to the police, they are supposed to use the Nkrumah Avenue to Independence Square. So they said they are engaging, both leadership said they are engaging themselves and see what will come out. But it looks those going on the demonstration are not willing to compromise their stance. And the police too said that place is a no-go zone. They won't allow them. So about 2 hours engaging. So the organizers of the Arise Ghana Demo had a mini press briefing at the Nkrumah, where the Nkrumah fountain is. They addressed the media. According to them, they are not going to move. The police can do whatever that they want. If they die for Mother Ghana. That is according to Dem0nstr. So they are not going to move an inch. Sam James encouraged the members, the Arise Ghana demonstrators, to stay. They are staying. I mean, we have Roxoma and others. They all engage the crowd, telling them not to move an inch. But if the police
tried anything,
they will face off with the police. I saw Broja Jemfi coming from the crowd, telling Dem0nstr to calm down because he had engaged the police at the other side. But Dem0nstr said no, they want to go there. So he moved with Edem Agbana. When they get there, Edem threw the flag, the Ghana flag that is holding, and someone from the crowd was also throwing the flag cast from the crowd to where the police officers are. But he didn't get to the police, unfortunately, hit Edem Agbana's head. So the police told them to move. They were very professional at that moment. They told them not to trespass the line that they formed for them. I mean, they were still provoking. Let me use the word provoking the police, because I was with the police side. The demonstrators were provoking the police officers, but they remained calm. They didn't want to do it because I heard the commander telling them they should do
stay put,
as he say. So they were there, and Edem Agbana moved back to the crowd. Later, I saw someone like Chief Azoka, and he was coming with Joshua Kamba. When they get there, they said they are not going to move, whatever the police. So Joshua Akamba and I think General instructed them to move towards the crowd.
Towards the police,
to push them that they are going to force their way through the human barricade that they formed. That I heard the commander telling the officers to position themselves. All of a sudden, the stone came from nowhere. Not knowing the bridge going to multimedia side, the Joy. The guys, some of the demonstrators were standing and they were throwing stones at them. So the police people have to take cover. When they went back, they cautioned them to stop. So one police officer went from the crowd, chasing one guy who was throwing the stones. That eventually, I mean, there's a huge crowd there, so the guy had this. But it was persistence. They started throwing. So the police officer, the officers take positioned move. So they started moving, and then there, as the Shakamba went back, they came for General. I didn't see the leaders anymore. So the guys I saw were there. Let me use the common floor members for joining the demonstration. And the police, the stones were too much, so they have to throw the tear gas. But when they fire the tear gas, the protesters will take it, throw it back to them. It was so now the police people realize that look, our numbers are small, so we have to call for reinforcement. Then the police started retreating. So when they came, and they also moved the water can and they start spraying them. So water can, pepper spray, and the tear gas. But yet, we realized most of the police officers were not in the mask, so they were also suffering from. At the point in time, I lost my breath because I didn't know where I was going. I couldn't breathe. So there was a woman I took pure water from. So I was about to wash my face, and the police officer held my hand that no, I shouldn't do that. When I do that, I will suffer more. So he took me to their van, gave me Tampico and others to calm me, down, and he told me that I should relax because if I try to react, I will lose my breath and the outcome might not be good. So I should stay calm. And when I came out and I realized the crowd, the stones, the placards, they were burning tires, and yet the commander in charge at that moment was still engaging the leaders at the other side. But the guys wanted to attack him. So he came back and told his men to move. So the van went in speed, regardless
of who was on
the streets. And I saw some of the officers in the FPU vehicle aiming at the protesters, wanted to shoot. I saw some bullets. I don't know. I'm not an ballistic expert, so I don't know whether it's a rubber bullet or tear gas. I saw some of them on the floor, and you know, some people. There's a lady. There's a lady who was standing with her sister. Before we could realize, poof, the bullets. Whether it was a scratch or entered, the blood was just oozing from the eye. But
She wasn't part of the protesters.
she was part.
She was part.
She's supposed to move, but she didn't. She thought where she was standing, she's
was
safe. But some of the drivers too were throwing stones from the Brass Sports Circle, so the police had no option is to spray whoever is there at that moment.
All right. Now let me start with you, Paragraph. Is this the end result you thought or you expected would be at the end of the day?
Sam, very good evening to you, and good evening to your viewers and listeners on social media. I believe very well that, you know, the Constitution demands that people can have a civil protest. And at some stages, I'm concerned to ask the question whether this is a riot or this is a demonstration. You know, when citizens want to engage government at various levels, they do it through a number of phases. The first is that you might want to have a dialogue. And at some stages, if the dialogue does not work, you might want to hit the street so that you can get a bit more public sympathy and be able to air your views. When the demonstrators, calling themselves the Arise Ghana group, met with the police, they earlier on wanted to have a demonstration between the hours of 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. The police sought to bring clarity and explanation as a result of some incidents that we have recorded, especially within the security environment and intelligence that we have gathered within the sub-region of West Africa. Terrorism, rise of terrorism. And you are aware that our country had at the time, over 3 weeks ago, launched the Citizen Awareness Campaign for citizens to see something and say something. And even in this week, I've picked up signals, and we've picked up signals of some attacks that have happened in Benin. So having seen that within the sub-region, Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, and Ghana is one of the countries that is more like an island. It's important that when you have internal unrest, you take into perspective the advantages that other people might want to use the platform for. We're also aware that the sub-region is bewild with some unnecessary disturbances as it relates to coup d'etats in terms of some countries going against the democratically elected government, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, for which has necessitated the ECOWAS of state to continually have an extraordinary meeting. Their last extraordinary meeting was held about 2-3 weeks ago. So the issue had to go to court. When the issue went to court, the High Court ruled that you can have your demonstration, but have it within the period of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and also change your route so you can come to the Independence Square. There's no reason for you to go to the seat of government because of the security implications thereof. I've been deeply concerned of the members that I have seen at the forefront. We were in this country and we saw that people were wanting to have a demonstration called Fix the Country. It went through a number of processes. At some stages in myself and in my mind when I have conversations, I'm tempted to believe this is almost like a rebranding of a Fix the Country move that has necessitated to Arise Youth group. You'll see the members that are leading. Dem0nstr is a very respected gentleman. Obviously used to be a political entity, now able to rise up to want to bring his own agitations to government in a very civil manner, for which reason when Eduji, the lawyer and the legal counsel for him, stated that look at the character and the personality of Dem0nstr and accord him the right for him to lead the demonstration as a convener. I have watched and seen that there are persons and characters within the NDC who have been at the very forefront. And if truth be told, I think that it would have been good for the biggest opposition party to clearly state to the Ghanaian people that the NDC wants to have a demonstration.
And hold on one second. So these individuals that you say spearheaded the demonstration, does it in any way take away the fundamental issues they raised there?
Not at all. I'll come to that. I'll come to that. Prince Derek Ejay, everyone in this country is aware that he's a member of the biggest opposition party. His conduct and manner in which he spoke, I think at various stages of wanting to exercise your democratic right, doesn't augur well. I mean, he's an example to the young people in the NDC and by large other people within the country. Let me go through the processes so that I can be able to build the point. I know you don't have time.
Yeah, we don't have time. In my intro, that's why I captured some of these things in my intro, so that if you highlight some of these issues, we may just tackle them before you proceed. So you said, Prince, the way you spoke, you didn't find it. You found it unsavory. What did Prince say that you found unsavory?
Oh, I mean, the records are there to prove. I mean, when you have the police to want to protect you, it's important that you abide by the rules and regulations. It appears as though that every single thing that the Arise Ghana demonstrators are seeking to do is to go contrary to the rulings from the High Court. The rulings of the High Court clearly stated that you're supposed to have a demonstration between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and for one day. Now, they had earlier on planned that they would want to have it from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. They had also earlier on planned that they would want to picket at the Jubilee House. You heard many people stating that they would want to continue tomorrow.
But is that where?
Let me build a point, please. And they would want to go to the finance ministry. If you are demonstrating and you submit your routes, and especially when a matter has gone to court and the court has brought ruling, I think that it is very civil enough because there are reasons why you're agitating. There were 6 reasons that they raised, and I'll go into that. I'm aware and reliably informed that the national organizer for the NDC, Akamba, arrived from New York yesterday. He came yesterday clearly to be part of this demonstration. And so you look at the persons that are at the living front. George Opariado as well, who is the NDC youth organizer, was also in the US. He also just returned recently. Sami Jemfi, who is the NDC national communication officer, also has really put himself in. So well-meaning Ghanaians who really have a concern and want to express those concerns, it appears as though to a large extent maybe they've been deceived of what the people sought to do. Number one, they stated that they wanted to protest against the fuel hikes. Number two, they also stated that they wanted to protest against the e-levy and the obnoxious e-levy that has been imposed on the Ghanaian people and the repeal of it. Number three, they also clearly stated that they wanted a bipartisan input into the COVID expenditure. Number three, four, they stated that lands that is purported to have been taken by some state persons, including the Achimota Forest, they want some conversations around that. 5, they said that they were protesting against police brutalities. And you heard your colleague that the police had been extremely professional in the midst of this. You are throwing stones at the police. Look at the number of police persons that have been injured. So clearly, the intent and purpose for which you seek to do right, you are doing wrong in that process. And then finally, just their final point is to have a conversation around the cancellation of the Japa deal. Now, if you look at these issues that they sought to address, I'm not too sure that in the midst of all their agitations, they've been able to even submit a paper of that nature to government for government to be able to begin a process of consideration. Government has answered all of these questions, for which reason sometimes there would be no need at all to want to agitate whatsoever. If you don't mind, I can go through one after the other to give responses and how government has effectively handled these issues.
We will come to that bit about the concerns they raise and the point you make about it being an NDC project, being spearheaded by the people that you mentioned, Joshua Kamba, Sami Jemfi, Opariado, and co. But prior to the event happening, which is today, we had heard seasoned journalists in this country throw their weight behind this demonstration. My colleague Samson had thrown his weight behind it as if he didn't know that Sami Jemfi was a part of it, because they have been touting this all this while. Randy Abbey has done so. I've seen several other well-meaning guys. And my colleague on the show with me also has thrown his weight behind it. Other security experts have also thrown their weight behind it. So then the point you make about people being hoodwinked, these people already knew that this was being spearheaded by people like Sami Jemfi, and yet they threw their weight behind it. Does it not diffuse the argument you make?
Not at all. Not at all. Did they desire to go on demonstration to have 10 plus police personnel get injured?
This is the first question. This is post the fact.
No, come on, please. I mean,
this is post the fact.
No, no. You see, demonstrations have its character and its antecedents, which is why the police, in the greatest wisdom of intelligence, having purported to even preempt issues that will come within the demonstration, sought to say that we would want you to do your demonstrations within this period of time. Now, these are persons who seek to cause riot. This is not a demonstration. These are persons who seek to cause riot. This innocent gentleman who has not been trained in security, who has been in the environment of a tear gas that has been thrown into the crowd, was taking water to clean his face. You could have imagined this gentleman would have been on oxygen by this time without the aid of a policeman who said, you don't need to do that. So there are civilians that are involved. And in combating and even protecting demonstrators, there are a number of key incidents that you go through. The first is really to ensure that you protect the demonstrators that have gone on a civil unrest. Now, that is what the police sought to do. The second is that you're able to also preempt the activities and the actions of the demonstrators. How is it that the police have said, do not cross this barricade? And then you would come and behave as though you would want to be a king lord of the demonstration and say, kill me.
All right, hold on one second for me. Hold on a second for me, and let me speak to Adib Sani, who is a security expert and who was part of the demonstration, if I got you right, per the report you gave me. You spoke to him. So, Adib, it's good to have you on the show tonight. How are you doing?
I'm well. It's good to see you again.
Yes, we just spoke about 2 weeks ago, yes.
Unfortunately, I was trying to catch the attention of your production team. I couldn't hear. Was it Palgrave you were speaking to?
Yes, it was Palgrave I was speaking to.
I couldn't hear anything. So
I would ask you questions to direct and summarize the things Palgrave has said in the studio, if you hear me. Now, Palgrave suggests that all of you who went for that demonstration today were hoodwinked by the NDC because you didn't know the real intent behind what they were going to do today. Were you hoodwinked?
Oh, no, not at all. Palgrave is a brother. I mean, he's gone beyond being a friend. And he knows...
Hold on one second for me.
Okay.
I think, hold on a second for me. Unless I didn't hear you right. You said that. Yes, go ahead.
There are people that wanted to go on the station against some actions that is being taken by government. It appears as though that even these people in their well-meaningless and the turnout of the events of the demonstration might not even augur well for their own personality and character. They are two different things. I didn't say that they were woodwind.
You said that this is a demonstration which has people like Opariado, which has people like Sami Jemfi, which has people like all these individuals, and so this is basically an NDC project. And these individuals who supported it didn't know that this was the intent. So would I not be right to say you have been hoodwinked? All right, I mean, you were there and you have thrown your weight behind.
At all. It's quite unfortunate things turned out the way it did. By the way, let me first of all make it clear. I went there because of two major reasons. One, I'm heeding to the president's plan for us to be citizens and not spectators. We as citizens have a stake part and parcel of the governance process. They say that the only thing is for good men to do nothing. So we feel that the way things are going, it's important we draw the attention of the politicians to what is going on. Secondly, I went there to represent civil society because I see it as a patriotic responsibility on our part to draw the attention of not just politicians but stakeholders to what is going on, because currently the economic hardship and more people are thrown into the poverty bracket. By the day, we have more youth without jobs, pushed into uncertainty and becoming desperate. We have national service personnel, NAPCO personnel who are not paid. And we feel that all of these, coupled with the other economic hardships, has security implications. And I don't want you to, as the media asks me tomorrow, if things go wrong, that you claim to be a security analyst. You claim to run a civil society organization. When things were going wrong, what did you do about it? So it's just a patriotic responsibility for us to be part and parcel of that protest. But it's very unfortunate that it turned out the way it did, because when I got there, I spoke with the leadership. In fact, I spoke with Dem0nstr. I told them, you see, it is in your best interest to ensure there's peace, because in the end, if there's no peace, everybody would talk about the violent nature of the demonstration to the detriment of the very reason we came out to. So it will defeat the purpose for which we even came out in the first place. Okay? Unfortunately, they took an intransigent position based on, according to them, the stay of execution they had. To the police, there's no stay of execution. They were also going by the court ruling. All right. So the two met twice. The first meeting, I was part of it. Nobody was willing to budge. Then there was a second meeting in which Sami Jemfi and the rest were part of. And it looked almost like everybody had taken an entrenched position. And I knew instantly, hey, the way things were going, is going to be trouble. So I looked to my right. I saw a lady I knew. I told her, do you mind going home now? She was like, why? I said, no, the way things are going, it's likely to turn violent. And that is when I left. 1 hour after I left, then I heard about the violence that occurred and the tear gas that was thrown. I expected it. But when I got there in the morning, everything was fine. The police were very professional. The protesters were of their good behavior. Unfortunately, because of this disagreement with respect to the routes to be taken, and of course, the timing, things just degenerated into violence.
So Adib, let me seek your opinion as a security expert now, not as one of the members of the demonstrators. If the police had bashed and allowed for them to use the route they wanted to use, necessarily would the nation would have been at any security risk?
Yes. If the right protocols were not put in place, and I don't think the police had those protocols, because you are going near the security zone. Okay, but the terrorism element of it is where I have issues with. Okay, in 2021 there were 13 attacks in Ivory Coast, 5 attacks in Benin, 1 attack in Togo, apart from the thousands of attacks that Burkina Faso and Mali has suffered. And this year we've had numerous attacks in all of these countries. Trust me, not a single one of it happened during a demonstration. And most of it, over 90%, happened during the day. So if you understand terrorist modus, the way they do their thing, the way they place critical infrastructure under surveillance, the way they come to take pictures and plan the entry and the exit routes, it is not through demonstration. Besides, it's a public route. People use the Liberation Road on a daily basis. So under what circumstance would terrorists want to wait for a demonstration to occur before they attack? I think that was laughable. However, if it was based on 2 factors, one, the area being a security zone, fine, it's understandable. And secondly, them wanting to go into the night would require a galvanization of certain resources, night goggles, and perhaps special license. And perhaps criminals can take advantage to perpetrate crime by, stealing phones and pickpocketing and all that. That could be understandable. All right. So, in my opinion, you know me, I'm a fierce critic of the Ghana Police Service, but when the truth is there, I don't shy away from it. The police was very professional on this occasion, to be honest.
Now, before I let you go, the protesters indicate that they would be there. What do you expect would happen?
I wonder if it's possible. I don't know whether the court ruling was specific about. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. So I don't know whether the court ruling was specific about whether the protest should be held within a single day or 2 days. I'm not sure about that. If it says 1 day, then I'm not sure the police would allow that to happen. I'm pretty sure there will be security present at the circle. And I'm picking up information that tomorrow's protest is going to be at Elwak. I don't know whether you picked up that.
Yeah, I picked up similar information.
So I'm sure there will be presence there, and they are going to prevent people from assembling. If the court ruling indicated specifically or categorically that is going to be within a day. Other than that, then it's within their right to do so. But I'm hoping that even if they are going to do so, it will be peaceful and not as we saw today. Unfortunately, nobody's talking about the hardship. Nobody's talking about the youth unemployment. We're all talking about the violence. And I said it right from when I got there. I told them, it is in your interest to ensure that this is peaceful. Unfortunately, because I think it was a battle of egos, then here we are today.
All right, Adib, I will thank you for joining me tonight on Fact Sheet. Let me come back to the studio and then see if Palgrave would have a reaction to some of the comments that Adib had made. Any reactions to some of the comments?
No, Sunny is my very good friend, and we are in the same industry. I agree with a number of the points that he raised, which affirms the fact that well-meaning Ghanaians who want to go on the
hold on 1 second. Adib, if you can hear me respectfully, if you can, just jump to Facebook and follow the conversation. Just quickly jump to Facebook because he's keen to hear what you're saying, and we're having a little sound challenge in the studio. Adib, you would have to pardon me, but quickly jump to Facebook and just look for ETV Ghana, and we will come back to you with your reactions as to what Palgrave has said that you want to react to, if that's fair with you. Okay, so that's fine. So we can proceed.
Okay, so I mean, Habib is a very good brother and colleague in the industry, and I agree with him. I mean, the points he has raised clearly is what I stated, that the original intent of the Arise Ghana group, which convener is Dem0nstr, for which reason Eduji, who is the legal head counsel to the court, stated that the court should look at the character and integrity of Dem0nstr, who has held peaceful demonstrations in this country that has not resulted in any violence or chaos, and grant him the right for him to be able to lead this demonstration. But I stated that having seen that this has become a riot rather than a demonstration, this has become more of a rebranding of a Fix the Country. This has become more of an NDC, biggest opposition party demonstration. If the NDC wanted to do a demonstration, it is not against the law. So it is important that you come clean that we, the NDC, want to have a demonstration. And as we have the demonstration, we seek to call the demonstration Arise Ghana Youth. It's not a problem. But I believe very well that it's become a bit of a challenge for the people that want to do the demonstration. And if you want to go against the rulings of the Supreme Courts or even the High Courts, then it means that you want to take the law into your own hands, which will not augur well for any of us. So I agree with a number of the points that Sunny raised. Maybe I might disagree with him on the fact that terrorist acts and the processes within which terrorists will pick up signals and be able to launch might not be in the afternoon. I mean, that's neither here nor there, because I mean, terrorists would usually use different models, and there might be a model that they would use that we are not akin to, which could be new, and they could have used a disturbance of this nature to cause havoc, to disrupt the major attention that the police service were giving to the demonstrators. Just suppose that there was an attack anywhere that the police were not around. The police would immediately have to marshal, and then that would disrupt the demonstration that they want to do and cause other havoc, which I'm not sure is anything that we would want to hold on to.
Right. Well, we'll take a short breather when we come back. Kindly make your note about the concerns that these protesters raised, so that within the next, let's say, 5-6 minutes, we can try and address some of these concerns that they raised. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Back to Fact Sheet Live on ETV. I'm here with Palgrave. I'm here with Nee Ankra, who brought us a report from the grounds as the entire event unfolded. So Palgrave, within the 5 minutes, some of the issues they raise, the hardships in the country, economic hardships in the country, which has to do with high fuel prices, the prices of commodities and general goods and food as well, and several other matters they raised. Within 5 minutes, you said government has put clarity on these matters. Can you elaborate?
So Sam, you see, the entire processes of their demonstration, I think that is lost their local standing, which is quite sad for the good people of this country, which is unfortunate. Clearly, it means that if people want to demonstrate, they don't have the right intent and motive, which we must be able to begin to question, because not everybody can just get up and go to the streets just because you say you have a right. Anyway, let me begin from maybe the last but one, so that we can address it upwards. So
what's the focus area of that?
I mean, so I'm talking about police increase rate of brutalities.
Let's come to rather the issues about fuel prices, the issues about general prices of goods and services, food prices. Let's come to those areas. As for security issues, let's focus on the economic hardship issues.
Okay, so economic hardships. Clearly, you are aware that government put together measures. In the first 3 months of the 2022, January, February, March, the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, held an extended cabinet retreat at PDRC. In that retreat, he sought to really ensure, at the time, reopening of the land borders, making sure that we reduce especially the constant inflation rate, and also look into the depreciation of the city, look into some measures that we could shortcut for our economy. You realize immediately after the cabinet retreat, the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Addison, sought to bring about a conversation on the Monday for a policy review of the policy rate. On that Thursday, the Minister for Finance, the Honorable Kenneth Fariata, together with the Minister for Information, the Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, moderated the press conference at the Finance Ministry, and there were measures that were put in place. 3 minutes. These measures, number one, that government had cut down 30% of expenditure of MMDAs, and then also government had cut down 20% of state-owned enterprises, CEOs, ministers, and deputies' salaries. Government had cut down 50% of fuel allowance. Government had cut down 50% of per diems when you go for meetings. Government had put a moratorium on travels. Government was not going to start a new public enterprises over the next 9 months. Government as well had cut down the importation of vehicles, for which reason you needed to buy your vehicles in country. And government had rolled out homegrown solutions. One of them was the electronic levy, of which rationale really is to ensure that we widen the tax bracket, where we have many more Ghanaian people contributing significantly to the development of the country. When you look at the e-levy and you look at the population of Ghana, close to about 30.8 million, just about 8% of the people were paying taxes. If you look at 8% of 30.8 million, that brings us to a total number of about 2.34 million people, which means a sizable number of people were not paying taxes. 90% of those taxes were within Greater Accra region. Now, having digitalized the entire economy, and having seen that the digital economy had grown largely from 2016, about 76 million Ghana cedis, right up to 2017, just oppose that to the projections that had been made from 2021 into 2022, it was projected that the digital economy would grow potentially to about 1 trillion Ghana cedis. And so the government sought to put together that electronic levy. And clearly, we are aware that government had town hall meetings, had conversations with the entire country. The percentage at that time was 1.75%, came up to 1.5%. The telcos also reduced theirs by 0.25%. All of that were measures that were put in place. I'm aware that sometime this week, Cabinet would have a conversation and be able to review the measures that have been put in place from the 1st of April up until date. And in assessing those measures, government will be able to come back again to mitigate what those challenges will mean for us going forward.
All right. Now, I know my time is far exhausted. I just have a minute. But since you, by proxy, would have some information which I don't have, this 30%, cut, and then 50% cut in the salaries and all those things, how much does it translate into?
So I think that at the time when the Minister for Finance, the Honorable Kenneth spoke, he estimated that within the period, we're going to raise close to about 30 million Ghana cedis. Within that period.
30 million Ghana cedis?
Yes, within that period, we're going to raise close to about 30 million Ghana cedis.
Well, I honestly wish that we had a lot more time, because you raised issues about, the monetary policy rates, its adjustment upwards, and, the views that have been expressed by, economists as to whether it is counterproductive or it's not, whether it's even achieving its target in the first place, considering how inflation is doing presently. But, Parviv, time is not my friend tonight, but I'm grateful.
It's fine. Thank you for having me.
You joined me tonight on the journey. I am thankful that since morning from 5:30 a.m. I came here with you. You've been with me until 9 p.m. I'm grateful as well that you joined me. Adib, I'm also grateful that you joined me tonight via Zoom. And the production team, I am grateful that you also made it possible for us to have this conversation. But tomorrow morning on the Happy Morning Show, between 5:30 and 9, an exhaustive conversation will be had on this subject matter of the demonstration as to whether it achieved its target or not, and whether this violence has just swallowed the entire effort at drumming home the concerns of Ghanaians. Do make a date tomorrow, 5:30 a.m. sharp. Good evening.